Hello, friends. So today we're enjoying one of my favorite store-bought teas, if you will, PG Tips, and it's a really good basic English breakfast tea. So today we're going to read three short stories. Since I skipped y'all last week, thank you for your understanding. I deal with anxiety and depression, and so sometimes I just need to take time off for my own mental health. So our first story is called The Beam. Once upon a time, there was a magician who was standing in the middle of a large crowd of people and performing marvelous tricks. Among other things, he made a rooster appear, lift a heavy beam, and carry it as though it were as light as a feather. However, there was a girl who had just found a four-leaf clover, and it made her so sharp-minded that she could see through any kind of deception. Consequently, she saw that the beam was nothing but a straw, and cried out, "Don't you people see that the rooster's carrying a mere piece of straw and not a beam?" As soon as she said this, the magic vanished, and the people saw what was what, and chased the magician away, with scorn and contempt. However, he was filled with rage, and said, "I'll get my revenge." Time passed, and the girl was about to be married. She got dressed up and marched through the fields in a large procession to the village where the church was. All at once the procession came to a brook overflowing its banks, and there was no bridge or plank to cross it. The bride, however, was quick to react. She lifted her skirts and started to wade. When she got to the middle of the water, a man who was standing nearby called to her. It was the magician, and he began mocking her. "Hey, what's the matter with your eyes? You don't think this is actually a brook, do you?" Her eyes flew wide open, and she saw that she was standing in the middle of a field of blue flax, in full bloom, with her skirts raised high. Then everyone else saw this too, and their jeers and laughter forced her to flee. The end. I guess don't ruin a magician's act? I don't know what the moral is there. The next story is called The Old Beggar Woman. Once upon a time, there was an old woman. Of course, you've seen old women go begging before. Well, this woman begged too, and whenever she got something, she said, "May God reward you." Now this beggar woman came to the door where a friendly young rascal was warming himself inside by a fire. As she stood shivering at the door, the youngster spoke kindly to the old woman. "Come in, Grandma, and warm yourself." She entered, but went too close to the fire so that her old rags began to burn without her noticing it. The youngster stood there and watched. He should have put out the fire, don't you think? And even if there was no water at hand, he should have wept out all the water in his body through his eyes. That would have made for 2 nice streams of water, and with that he could have extinguished the fire. The end? I feel like that's more of an unfinished story than a story, don't you? It's wild. And finally, the 3 lazy sons. A king had 3 sons, and since he loved them equally, he did not know which to choose to be king after his death. When the time of his death drew near, he summoned them to his bedside and said, "Dear children, I've been contemplating something for a while, and now I want to reveal it to you. I've decided that the laziest among you shall become king after me." Then father, said the oldest, "the kingdom belongs to me, for I am so lazy that, when I'm laying on my back and want to sleep and a drop of rain falls on my eyes, I won't even shut them so I can fall asleep." The second said, "Father, the kingdom belongs to me, for I'm so lazy that, when I'm sitting by the fire to warm myself, I'd sooner let my heels be burned than draw back my feet." The third said, "Father, the kingdom is mine, for I'm so lazy that, if I were about to be hanged, and the noose were already around my neck and someone handed me a sharp knife to cut the rope, I'd rather let myself be hanged than lift my hand to cut the rope." When the king heard that, he said, "You've outdone the others and shall be king." The end. Those were 3 very weird stories. I don't even know that I could even extrapolate any sort of moral or meaning from them. So please let me know what you think. And let me know if the being outside was too distracting with the cars driving by and stuff. I do appreciate y'all's feedback. Alright, friends, it's time for your next adventure. I'll miss you. Cheers.